There we go. You'd think, well, I'd know what I was doing now, having done these for a couple of years. But I can tell you, they don't ever really get any easier. So if you wouldn't all mind muting yourselves, that would be really handy. If you've got questions this evening, then please don't hesitate to call them out, because obviously this is a session for you to get as most out of it as you can, as much out of it as you can. So if you're an owner and you want to ask questions, please don't hesitate. If you're a prospective owner and you want something clarified or confirmed, then also you can either just call out or pop a question in the chat, and one of the team will be monitoring the chat. So good evening, everybody. My name is Lindsay Sadler. Most of you know me by now. I'm a team leader. I've worked with Thermomix for about 4 years. So I am responsible for creating, in excess now, I think, very excitingly, of about 300 customers, and then we've got all the customers that are bought through team and my colleagues as well. So yes, we've created lots and lots of lovely owners over the last few years, so it's been a really great time. But obviously we're always looking to create more, so this is why we do these sessions, so that people can really sort of understand what the Thermomix can do for them, because people buy Thermomixes for lots of different reasons, don't we? You know, there are some that buy because they can't cook, some that buy because they can cook, some that buy because they can see the real potential for saving money, some buy because they want to save time. So there is a side of Thermomix for everybody, and that is why we do these demos, so that you can sort of really understand how a Thermomix will benefit you in your kitchen. I'm not going to talk for too long this evening as an introduction, but I do just want to sort of whiz you through the functions of the screen. Can we have everybody on mute, please? Because otherwise I get a lot of background noise and it's very distracting.
You've been muted as well, Lindsay. No, I can't hear you. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I've already talked for too long, obviously, because one of my Thermomix is shutting down. Yes, so the Thermomix are ideal for people that don't know where to start, for children cooking, but also we have Michelin-starred chefs all across the world using Thermomix in their kitchens, because there is simply no better machine appliance that does what a Thermomix can do. It's so versatile. If any of you, so we've got a lot of owners on this evening. We are always looking for owners to become advisors, which is a great thing to do. Most of us, I think, in this team were I think, in fact, all of us were owners that became advisors, because we're just very passionate about sharing the love for Thermomix and how it has benefited us in our own homes, and we've all got different reasons why that will be. So hopefully as we go through this evening, we'll sort of share a little bit about our personal stories. But we've got very diverse people in the team. So I'm a trained chef, that was my background. I said no to Thermomix for a long time, mainly because I didn't really understand it. But actually I couldn't have been more wrong, and that's why I'm really passionate about getting people to see these in action, because it was only when I saw it at a demo that I really got my head around what it can do, understood its benefits, and then I went on to buy one. And I think we're all a bit like that. So we've got Sue cooking tonight, who is really, can you kids please go away? Sue is really passionate about healthy eating. Sue was a customer. I think I sold her a Thermomix on making hummus, so she's going to make it for us this evening, and she'll talk a little bit about that. And Sue is really into healthy eating, so it's really lovely to have that kind of expertise from her angle as well. I've got Sarah on this evening with me. Sarah was a hopeless cook, I think. Am I being kind? But no, Sarah couldn't really cook at all. It was a bit of a standing joke between her family and close friends. And now, you know, she's whipping out food that would be sort of the envy of many restaurants around the world. So it's really lovely to see that journey as well. Linda, a bit the same, aren't you? You were an owner and just loved it, and you just now want to sort of share awareness for for Thermomix and what it's done for you in your kitchen too. So we'll come on to everybody, and Marie, of course. Marie is a chef like me. She runs a very successful chocolate making business, and she runs cocktail classes and chocolate making classes as well. And again, has found the Thermomix really beneficial for both her business, but also at home as well. And as a passionate cook, it simply allows you to cook more. So when I hear people that say, I don't need a Thermomix, it's not for me because I love to cook, because I love cooking and I love the cooking process. All I would say to people as a trained chef, we all love to cook as well, but I can get a lot more done in a lot less time with a Thermomix in my kitchen. This month is a fantastic month to buy, because we have got our much awaited and sought after interest-free offer. So we are offering 0% finance on the 12-month payment plan. It works out at about £95 and 75 pence a month over the 12 months. So it just helps you to break that cost down and make it a little bit more affordable. Hopefully this evening we are going to show you some of the ways that you can offset the investment in a Thermomix. So, you know, it is a big ticket item. It's an investment. People think carefully about buying one. But all I would say to you is that with the benefit of having sort of 5 years now, maybe more, of ownership of a Thermomix, on a personal basis, I save far more than it costs me to buy, just by being able to sort of switch the way I shop. And what I cook now, I cook a lot more. Even though as a chef, there are things that I'm doing now that I would never have done. For example, yogurt, where I save myself personally about £10 a week just on the cost of buying yogurt for a family with 4 children in it. It's extraordinary. And then add in all the other savings that can be achieved along the way, and really it makes complete financial sense. The other way that you can become an owner is, of course, to earn one as an advisor. So if there are any people watching this evening that thought, I'd love to do that, please give me a shout or talk to your advisor about how you can become a Thermomix advisor yourself. Everybody is given the opportunity to earn a Thermomix for free, whether or not you're already an owner, or you can simply start earning commission straight away just by sharing the Thermomix love. Right. That's the sales pitch out the way. Hopefully we are going to get the Thermomix now to do the selling for us, to show you exactly what it is capable of. We're not cooking any main meals this evening. So like I said, we're just going to be focusing on these sort of store cupboard items that you can easily and very cost effectively make at home. So I'm just going to run, without further ado, very quickly through why a machine and why a Thermomix is very different to sort of other forms of cooking or any other appliances that you may or may not have in your kitchen. So for a start, you know, I tell people to think about a Thermomix as being sort of a food processor, really, but a smart food processor that also has the capability of heating, stirring, and guiding you through a recipe. So yes, in a sense, it does all those food process type actions, but it also does an awful lot more than that. So these are just some of the modes that you can use. It replaces about 25 different appliances in the kitchen. And if you added up the cost of buying all those appliances, you would far exceed the cost of buying a Thermomix. So again, you know, it can be really beneficial for people that are just starting out on their journeys together, that don't have that much equipment, but it can also help you just, you know, save an awful amount of space on your worktops as well. So we'll be using a few of these modes this evening, not all of them, but hopefully as we cook, you'll be able to see what it can do. So Thermomix recipes, it confuses people at first, always written as a function of time. You see my first dial there, temperature and speed. Whatever dial I highlight will be the dial that this speed selector operates. So it really is quite straightforward when you think about it. When you cook with a traditional manner, then all you're doing is putting together, it's a function of, you know, how long you cook something for, what sort of temperature, and how often you have to stir it. And yes, so what I've just seen a question, or somebody put in the chat about washing up. Yes, washing up is minimal because it saves you having to wash up hundreds of different things Everything is done in the Thermomix, and then it washes itself up at the end. So the real thing that sets it apart, this machine, apart from anything else, is our recipe database called Cookie Do. We've now got over 80,000 recipes on here. So you can see on my screen, if I just click on here, I can pop in, like, I'm just going to search as chicken, say. There we are, chicken. And, oh, I haven't made a mistake on the typing. So let's click search. And it will bring up over 1,000 results. Okay, so what can I do with that? I think, well, I can have a quick look through there. It's easier to look at it on your app. So you have an app that controls the recipe platform. The app is available on your phone, on a tablet, through a website, but also obviously through the screen. But it's just easier to sit down and look at your app when you're kind of looking through what recipes that you want to cook, because you can bookmark them, you can put them into different recipe folders. You can say, I want to schedule this to cook today or tomorrow or at some point next week. So you can build up your weekly planner. But then when I found a recipe I want, I can just simply start cooking. It's available directly on my screen, and it starts walking me through the instructions step by step. So that's one example of a recipe. Then if you go into, this is the function that saves actually a lot of people, a lot of customers, lots of money. It's this ability to be able to plan out exactly what you're going to cook and eat, and therefore you buy only the ingredients that you need. And Cookie Do, it's so clever. Cookie Do syncs with your online shopping provider. So currently we've got Tesco's. I don't know when Waitrose is coming back. There was just a glitch. I don't know when Asda's coming back because there was a glitch on there as well. But we've got Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Ocado, and Amazon Fresh, I believe, at the moment. Let me just, I can see Crystal entering. And so once you've decided what food you are going to cook, then you can transfer those ingredients onto a shopping list, and that shopping list, then you can synchronize that with your online shopping provider, and those ingredients will be delivered to your door. Then the Thermomix gets on, obviously, with cooking and cleaning itself up afterwards. So it really is an incredible piece of kit that will save you a lot of money off your food shopping, but it will also help you get more organized. It will help you cook from scratch a lot more than you were doing previously, even if you were a scratch cook. And it will also save you an awful lot of time. So I'm going to get started on the first recipe this evening, which is our vegetable stock paste. Normally we palm this one off on Marie because she loves doing this, don't you, Marie? But I think you've actually done this so many times, you've got quite a stock of it. So mine is a little bit low, so that's why I'm doing it for you this evening. Vegetable stock paste is something that we always used to encourage new customers to cook first in their Thermomix, because number one, it's very, very easy, and you see exactly how the functions work. Number two, it gives you something really useful to then use in the rest of your cooking. So you can see yes, this is all I've got left of a large jar here. So this is my existing vegetable stock paste. And what this is the equivalent to something like a Knorr, much better than Knorr, obviously, because it hasn't got all the rubbish in it, but like a stock pot. It's a really concentrated injection of flavour into your food. So it's ideal for putting into soups and sauces and stews and curries and things like that. And if you cook from scratch, you will be amazed at how much of this, or how many stock cubes you go through. So, you know, if you've got to just make a soup a day or a stew or something, or a family meal, and all of a sudden those Knorr stock pots, I mean, I could be using 8 to 10 of them more in a week. Now, a packet of those of 8 costs in excess of £2 in the supermarket, of those stock pots. I just can't believe how much they cost. This costs pennies, especially if you do it the Marie Perry way, which is to use, Marie saves all of her vegetable peelings, bags them up, freezes them, and then when she's got enough, puts them into her Thermomix and cooks them all down. I'm not quite that organised. I'm just going to move my friend out of the way. In fact, look, I've got my friend ready because I'm going to transfer over onto the friend to enable it to continue to cook. So as you can see, I didn't think you'd want to see all my vegetable peelings. So I've just got a lot of fresh vegetables, but what I have got here you can use anything that you want in this. So Marie will use cabbage leaves. She uses sweet potato peelings, carrot peelings, parsnip peelings, all sorts of things. I've got some very old celeriac, which had a bit of an odd sort of smell to it a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, well, it's probably past its best. It was very, very intense, but I saved it because I thought, I know what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to put it in my stock paste. So I've got some celeriac, I've got some sort of grotty looking mushrooms here that are past the best. I've got some mushrooms that were going to be used for some sort of accompaniment to steak, which just sat in the fridge without being covered, so they've all dried up, but I thought, actually, I'm going to chuck them into my stock paste. And I've got, you know, some bits of old cat. In fact, I have got carrot peelings from my little girls' packed lunch, and various other sort of forms of vegetables. So you can pretty much save anything that you want to put into this. Okay, so my first instruction is put in 200 grams of celery stalks. So this machine is going to walk us step by step through it. Now, let's just move that out of the way. If I just bring you a bit closer, so you can see it on the screen, the instructions. If I just click through a few, it's going to say 2 carrots. So every single instruction is on the screen for me. All I'm going to do, though, is just chuck it all in now. So I'm going to chuck it all in. There you go. And it will weigh for me if I want it to. And I'm really going to max this lot out. So I might have to stop if I go above the top of the bowl. Sometimes it actually doesn't really like it if you put in too much and it's too big. So I'm just going to try and find my onions aren't quite cut small enough, I don't think, for the amount I've got in there. I once managed to, I think, almost get nearly 2 kilograms of veg in here once, because I was showing a business how much they could cook at a time. But my Thermomix didn't really thank me for it. So the recipe calls for about 700 grams of vegetables. I'm putting in a bit more than that. As you can see, well, you might not be able to see because you can't see the top of my machine, but I'll show you in a minute. I'm taking a bit of a risk here. I might have to pull out half of it. We'll go over to somebody else for that. Right, so can you see I'm right up at the top with my veg, and then I can see I've got some parsley stalks here. They're just going to go in, and now I need a lid. Put vegetables, herbs. So if you just come back to the recipe, you know, once you've done this a few times, you sort of know what to put in. So it just tells you what to put in. Then it will say insert measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid. So that just means put the lid on, basically. And then we've got 10 seconds at speed 6. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to shove in. I'm going to stir with my spatula on the top. Just to try and encourage it. Oh, it's actually not too bad. Just to try and encourage it to blend from the inside as well. So you can see I've still got a few large chunks there. I'm just going to stir it down with a spatula like that, and then just blend again. So this is where, you know, you've got cookie dough. It is a guided recipe. The reason it's there as a guide. If you deviate from cookie dough recipes, you may need to just sort of reevaluate and maybe run some of the functions again, or for a little bit longer. And this spatula is brilliant. So really encouraging it to blend throughout the mixture. There we go. So that's done it. That's lovely. Right. So it even tells me, you can see on the front of the screen, to scrape down the sides. Then add some rock salt. Well, I've got quite a lot actually in there. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit more rock salt than it suggests. Oh, who's done this with my bag? Oh, I'm going to put in probably about 200 grams of rock salt. So I've reset my scales to 0, and then I'm just going to weigh straight in. So you'll see when I go straight in, just go over a little bit. And then I think it wants some olive oil, a tablespoon of olive oil. Should be here now. If you want to be quite accurate about it, you can put your scales on in a recipe. So I know a tablespoon is about 15 grams. I'm just going to put in a bit more because we've gone overboard on the recipe. And again, if you wanted to reduce it, people are kind of horrified when they see what goes into this stock. But you've got to remember that you only use really a teaspoon or a couple of teaspoons at a time. You don't use the whole thing. So it is only really a question of, I can't actually remember if I needed to. I'm just going to stop that and go back a step. Do I need to put the measuring cup in? Yes. Let's just turn that. So you only are putting really a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of salt into a recipe at a time. So you don't use the whole jar. Now, if you are on a low salt diet, you can obviously try and use maybe a low sodium form of salt. The other thing is you can do it without the salt, but you would have to then freeze it down, probably into ice cube trays, and portion it out into ice cube trays and then freeze it. That is how you would do it if you wanted to do it without salt. But like I say, you don't really eat all the salt, so it doesn't necessarily matter. You would only use a very small amount at a time. Right, so that is my vegetable stock paste on, and I think now I'm going to get on with the...
Lindsay?
Yes.
Sorry, Annabelle here. I don't know if I've done something wrong, but am I supposed to be able to see what your Mac can see? Because you keep moving your Mac to like the top of the veg.
Yeah, so are you on speaker view or are you on gallery view, Annabelle?
Okay, thank you. I just asked my 13-year-old. He's like, I don't know, Mum.
Yeah.
I'm on gallery view.
Yeah, so go to speaker view and you should see me, 2 of me.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yes, that's okay. Fantastic. I'm glad you asked. So I'm sure other people will have had the same issue as well. Right. Okay. So I am now going on to my yogurt recipe. So this is a yogurt recipe I have recently discovered. And I often recommend that people do the creamy vanilla yogurt. But it does involve heating up the milk mixture rather to about 80 degrees and then waiting for an hour while it cools. This particular yogurt recipe eliminates all of the fat of that. So it's actually super, super fast. So if I just click start cooking, all I'm going to do is weigh in my milk. Now I'm going to double up. I often double up this recipe. So I'm going to ferment some in the Feroma, in jars overnight, and then I'm going to ferment the other amount in the Thermomix serving bowl. So I'm just going to make a large quantity of yogurt. That probably won't mean anything to you, but as we go along and I do it, you'll see what I'm doing. I know Paul and Ginny have made some yogurt recently. Oh look, they're showing theirs off. There we go. It's delicious, isn't it? You sure you haven't got any alcohol in that one? I hope you've got a glass of wine to hand. There it is. Yeah, so normally my demo, everybody makes themselves at home, glass of wine or so in hand. Right, I'm going to just put in 2 litres of milk. Now, the other thing that you can add in, you don't have to, the recipe doesn't call for it. If I go onto the next screen, it will say natural yogurt as a starter, but you can add in some cream if you want to. So actually, if you've got any cream just left in the bottom of your pot, it's quite a good way of using up some cream. So let's pop in. Okay, I've got some cream here that I want to use up. So that's going to go in as well. And then it will want, I've got some interference from somebody. Whoever's coming, can you just pop yourself on mute, please? Who's that that's not on mute? No, there we go. Right, so cream goes in, and then it will say a natural yogurt. So what it means by that is a live yogurt. So it has to have the bacterial cultures in it. But I'm just going to use one of my one of my yogurts from a previous batch. I'm just going to pop that in. That goes straight in. And those of you that have made yogurt using other recipes are thinking, hang on a minute, how's she putting yogurt in now? Because she's about to heat it. The answer is that the heat in the Thermomix bowl doesn't go above about 45 degrees. So the bacteria remain alive. So this is great because this is a bit like making a sourdough starter. You can just keep a bit from your previous batch, add it to your next batch, and the flavour will constantly change and improve. Then I also add in, and this recipe doesn't call for it. Oh no, it does. Some milk powder. So I double up the milk powder recipe. And this one, so I'm going to actually put in 200 grams. Now this, because I'm multiplying it by 4, I'm doubling up the recipe anyway. So I'm going to put in 200 grams of milk powder. And I think I put in the 200 grams because it seems to make it nice and thick and creamy. Okay, that seems to be the secret. The other secret to thick and creamy yogurt is to ferment it properly. So if you're after more of a drinking yogurt, just ferment it for less time. I find that you get a thicker, more set yogurt if you ferment it for a longer period of time. So the milk powder goes in, and then all I'm going to put in now, if you can see that my light's a little bit further away, is I've just got some probiotic capsules that I'm going to open up and just empty in. So I'm just going to pull them apart. Put you back there. Just pull them apart and just empty them in. So I will leave the capsule out. And then it's my next instruction is saying, so here's the little veggie cap that's contained in. The next screen is saying, right, it's going to heat it up. So I've got 6 minutes on here, 50 degrees, speed 3. So all I'm going to do is just stir all that together, and you can see it is really quite. In fact, what I probably will do is just mix it a bit more. But if I just go over the top, you can see that it's starting to heat and stir, and that milk powder will eventually just go into the yogurt mixture. So that is going to give me about 2.5 kilos of yogurt out. So some I will pour into jars, which I'll show you in a minute. And then some I'm just going to ferment as a big batch in the Thermomix serving bowl. So that's enough of me for the time being. I think we're going over to Cutty, who is going to take us through some ticker paste for curries. Let me just unpin myself and remove spotlight. And spotlight, Sarah. Add spotlight. There we go. I don't know how to remove spotlight for me now. I can't hear you, Sarah.
Hang on a second. Oh, my IT support had disappeared for a minute. My son, 13-year-old son, he's like, no, help, I've done something, touched something. Right, I'm making the ticker paste. I haven't actually made this one before, but that's a great thing with Thermomix. It walks you through it, so I hopefully won't worry too much. This has got it's quite a big recipe when I was just weighing out the ingredients to make it all a bit quicker. So I have actually halved it. So we'll start with the coriander seeds. It says 40 grams. That's rough. Well, that's about 615 because I just hadn't got quite enough stuff, and I don't need all that ticker paste. The dried chilies. This is just knowing actually just the fresh ingredients going into your chicken paste. Right, it's telling me to put the lid on. Now that is going to just toast those spices for 5 minutes. Now I'm going to have to multitask here because I'm going to start with the barbecue sauce because I'm very lucky and I've got 2 Thermomixes. But I'm not halving this recipe, so I've got to really keep switched on. This is the ultimate barbecue sauce. So again, I'm going to do the whole recipe of this one. It says 500 grams of passata. You can actually make your own passata, but I haven't basically. Here we go, 500. Oh, that sounds lovely. There we go. Oh, and warm water actually, 250 plus 250 grams of warm water. I weighed out some malt vinegar earlier, so I'll make sure I got the right one. Okay, 250. Yeah, this is like filling a car up with fuel, getting it spot on. Yeah. Not obviously it's expensive. Right, next, 70 grams of onions. Where are my onions? Again, I did sort of roughly weigh these out earlier. It does weigh, the scales are all inbuilt. So you don't have to worry about weighing stuff out and then putting it in. So 100 grams of demerara sugar. There we go. The next, the malt vinegar. I think this is the malt vinegar. Yeah. Right. Here we go. Okay, I think malt vinegar comes in brown or white. I'm not quite sure the difference. As Lindsay explained, I'm not really a chef, even though this makes me feel like one. Tablespoon of the tomato puree. So there you go, I'm sure that's tomato puree. Then the golden syrup, I think I just guessed that one, I think we're getting a bit of a mess. About 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Right, here we go. Tablespoon of the Worcester sauce. It's just interesting, actually, just knowing all what goes into these sauces. This is a really good one. I've done this one before. Soy sauce. And actually, I didn't have. You do when you get Thermomix. As many of you know, you build up a store cupboard, and actually, I didn't have to get anything for tonight. Everything was already in the cupboard. It does seem like quite a lot of ingredients, but you do definitely build up your store cupboard in a slightly different way. Just having all those fresh, lovely ingredients in, like the smoked paprika. Okay. And then, oh, the chili powder. I've gone for some mild chili powder because I think the kids will be eating this as well. Well, the kids will be eating this as well. Just a good heat one. And a bit of salt. I'll get the right bits on. I won't put too much salt in, actually. I'll just put half of that one. But that's the lovely thing, that you can control everything that's going into your food. Right, where's the mustard? So some mustard. Teaspoon of Dijon mustard. All the way from Dijon. Next. Ooh, 2 garlic cloves. Oh, I know I've got these actually all in here. The garlic cloves, the whole half a whole nutmeg, 4 cloves, 2 star anise, and 2 bay leaves. I'll put all those in. Then that's literally the lid on. And it says put the simmering basket instead of the measuring cup on the mixing bowl lid. So that is literally taking that bit off. And putting that, it just lets a bit more steam out. And then that is going to cook for 75 minutes. So now I can just leave that to it. Perfect timing for this one. There we go. So then keep measuring cup. This is then going to grind up all those herbs that are in there, all those spices for the ticker paste. That's just going to spin that up to speed 8 just for 1 minute. And this ticker paste, there's loads of recipes you can use it for. I'm not sure you can hear me. I'll be using this.
We can actually, Sarah. We can hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
No, you're fine. Yes, I can.
I'll be using these for the butter chicken at our Saturday night takeaway. I guess everybody who has Thermomix.
You can do the chicken tikka flatbreads as well. Really nice with the paste. You could spread it on some salmon and steam some salmon. There's, you know, lots of uses for it actually. Marinate some chicken in yogurt and keep the paste. Here we go.
And this thicker paste, you can freeze it as well, because this makes quite a lot. You don't have to choose to keep it all in the fridge. It keeps in there for a long time, but
it does keep for ages, actually.
Right, now all I have to do is add, woo! Nice. Right, 50 grams of fresh coriander leaves and stalks, but I've halved it. So yeah, you can put, actually this was just going over a little bit in the fridge, so this was perfect. I'll just whip it up a little bit. That's it, that'll do. So yeah, you can put the stalks in there as well. The garlic, 100 grams of garlic cloves. It's quite a lot of garlic cloves. Again, I've just halved it. There we go, 50. And the fresh ginger. It's real Blue Peter moments here. And now 220 grams of olive oil. So I'll put 110 in. But I might just put 100 in. Oops. Do 110. Good for my maths, this. There we go, 112. Fair enough. And I put the lid on, and actually I think this is where I'm going to send it over to my friend. Oh no, I've got 1 minute to go of, this is going to literally spin that all for 1 minute. So that's going to blend all that up and chop it all up, all the spices and those fresher herbs, the garlic and the ginger and the coriander. Sounds like a plane taking off.
Shall I come back to me, Sarah? Shall I come back to me, maybe?
I can't hear you.
Can you mute yourself? Can somebody mute Sarah, maybe?
Okay. Got 20 seconds left.
Oh, 20 seconds.
Got my spatula ready. This is great. I can be doing other things while this is going on. Sorry, I couldn't hear a lot. Right, it's telling me to scrape down the sides of the mixing bowl. Wow. Oh, I'll have to show you this. I'm not sure you can see with the light. See the lid? Oh, it smells amazing. Right, let's scrape that down. And then I will scrape it down, but I won't waste time you watching me. Oh no, I do have to, hang on. So I've got to add the water. Hang on. These spatulas are so good. Into all the nooks and crannies. Hang on. I wish I was having curry tonight. We had the inside out chicken Kiev tonight. Okay, 100 grams of water. Now this is the one I've halved, isn't it? It's a 50, there we go. 100 grams of lemon juice, again 50. There we go. 30 grams of salt, should just be 15 in here. And dried onions. I had actually weirdly got some dried onions in the cupboard. I think I'd got some for some soup. So 25 grams of the dried onions in.
You can actually find them quite easily in the supermarket now. They're often down the Polish section, actually.
And you,
Dried onions.
it says 140 grams of tomato puree. This is a 70-gram pot, so there we go. The ground turmeric. Where have we gone? The good old turmeric. So good for you. I'll give a good heat on that one. Oh no, I'm halving it, aren't I, now? I've got... You have to always remember if you're halving it. Halve it. Put the lid on. Just talk me through this whole thing. Right, now that's going to cook for 45 minutes. So it doesn't hog my machine. I've got a Thermomix friend, so I'm going to put it over to that, because then I'm going to do some custard in a little bit. So we'll hand over. We're going back to you, Lindsay, for your yogurt.
Yeah. Let me just replace the spotlight. Yeah, right. So I will just go close down onto my work surface, so that you can see. These are the little Thermomix yogurt jars in front of me, and they're very sweet. They come with their own like little silicone lids. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to stop my Thermomix because I just kept it heating. I actually also added in some vanilla paste to this recipe. This particular recipe doesn't call for it, but the creamy vanilla yogurt does. And I just think it's really nice with a little bit of vanilla paste in. So that's what I added in whilst you were watching. So now my solution is heated up. You can see, if I just pop it down there, let's just get, all it looks like is just this like really thin milky mixture. And then I'm going to, now I always manage to spill this right everywhere when I do it, when it's so full. So hopefully I'm not going to have a huge problem this evening. Oh, maybe I think I might just decant some into my Verona, my Thermomix serving bowl to start with. Right, so I'm going to, this is at sort of 50 degrees. So the great thing about these serving bowls is that they will keep food hot or cool or cold at the table for between sort of 2 and 3 hours. These are actually host gifts at the moment. So if you host a Thermomix demo in the month of April, I know we've only got a couple of days left, but if you host a demo and invite 3 or 4 friends, we will give you one of these as a little gift for helping us share the Thermomix love with your friends and family. So they're worth nearly £50, so they're kind of well worth getting hold of when you can for nothing. And they are brilliant. So you can cook rice in there, you can do all sorts of things. You can put ice cream in there and keep ice frozen, but they're fantastic for fermenting yogurt. So all I'm going to do is just pour my mixture in. So I'm going to sort of pour half the mixture into here. And then very simply, is that about half the mixture? Just pop the lid on like that. And then this, I'm just going to leave in a warm place. So I leave this in the daytime. We've got like a conservatory and it gets really warm in there. So my yogurt will ferment inside this in 3 hours in that conservatory. Because it's nighttime now and it'll have gone cold, I'm going to put this in the airing cupboard a little bit later and just leave it there overnight. The rest of the yogurt mixture, I'm just going to pour into jars. So I'm going to pour into jars and I'm going to show you what I will do with them. So these jars, actually, if you wanted to pop them into the Thermomix serving bowl, so all 8 of the Thermomix jars will fit in the Thermomix serving bowl, and you can ferment them inside jars like that, which is quite clever. And again, you would just leave it in a warm place overnight. Now, in principle, it works, but I don't find that you get a finish. So with these, what I prefer to do, if I'm going to put them in jars, and don't ask me what the difference is, but I have tried it lots of different ways. You all know me by now. I love to experiment. I get a runnier yogurt if I put these and ferment them inside like the Thermomix serving bowl overnight. If I want a more set yogurt, there's a little trick for that, and I will show you that in a minute when I've just got them all filled up. That was good. Let's see if I can get a bit extra just rammed in the top because I've got all my vanilla seeds in the bottom there that I don't want to lose. Right, so just go around putting all the lids on. These ones I don't need. So I'll move them out of the way. this is the other thing, when you're a Thermomix advisor, they send you loads of free stuff, so you will never be lacking for equipment in your kitchen again. In fact, I'm kind of overrun with lots of the lovely gifts that they give us. So I've got lots of sets of yogurt pots actually. Right, here we go. Let's pop the lids on. So these lids just get pushed on, and then you can then pop them into your Varoma unit like this. I'm hoping they're all going to sit inside the Varoma like that. So they go into the Varoma. The lid goes on the top. So they're designed, beautifully designed to sit in the Varoma. Now, I am going to, if I go on to I'm going to find my creamy vanilla yogurt on here, because I'm going to show you that you don't have to just sort of like dream up these steps on your own. They actually do come from recipes. So creamy, creamy vanilla yogurt. And my team will be sitting there swearing under their breath, because I always tell everybody to get everything ready, and there is always something I fail at doing. So here's the creamy vanilla yogurt recipe. So you start off by making the yogurt mixture, very much as we've seen. I'm just going to skip through. So if I go to the recipe detail, I'm just going to skip through to the end of the recipe, which is here. So now it's asking me to put some water into the Thermomix bowl. So let me just get some water. But I'm just going to put in some hot water on my boiling water tap. Daniel, could you get out of my shot, please? Right. So water goes into the bowl, and then if I click on next, it wants me to add in 30 grams of lemon juice. So for this, I'm just going to use the concentrated lemon juice, if I can get it open. Doesn't need to be, the idea of the lemon juice is it's just there to stop your stainless steel bowl sort of discolouring during the process overnight, where you leave water in it. But in principle, that doesn't really happen. Anyway, it's just a safety feature. Then you're going to put the lid on. So it's asking me to put the lid on and then pop the jars on top. Place the Varoma dish into position, put the jars on top, and then it's going to ferment for 10 hours. You can see now my fermentation modes come on, 70 degrees. The bowl temperature will reach 70 degrees. Inside the top part, it won't be 70 degrees. It will be about 40, which is the optimum temperature for fermenting yogurt. And then you just click start, and then you can leave them there overnight. Now, it produces a beautiful set yogurt. You can alternatively pop them into the Thermomix serving bowl if you didn't want to run your Thermomix overnight, which will add £1 to the cost of your yogurts, but they will still be cheaper than buying them ready-made. You can, of course, put your yogurt jars inside this Thermomix serving bowl and just leave it in a warm place. So you've got two different methods there, and it's entirely up to you. But how easy was that to make yogurt? And when I make yogurt, one of the reasons I started making yogurt was because it was really upsetting me how much plastic waste was going in the bin. I've got 4 children. They were all having a mull of corn or so a day. At the end of the week, there were 30 or so yogurt pots that were filling up an entire bin bag with rubbish. And now, of course, I use my sort of glass jars that I recycle over and over. As soon as they're finished with, they go in the dishwasher, and then I just pop them in the oven to sterilise them half an hour or so before I make my yogurt, just on a 100-degree oven for sort of 20 to 30 minutes. Let them cool down, and then, as you can see, fill them and begin that cycle again. So, it's better for you because you can control your sugar content. In fact, that's what I actually omitted to do, was add some sugar in this time because my recipe didn't tell me to. But generally, I would add in about 40 grams or so of sugar per litre of milk. So you can control your sugar content. It'll be interesting to see if the children spot that tomorrow. I may not have any takers of yogurt, we'll see. But so you can control the sugar content, so you know exactly what's in it. You can add sugar or take it away. You can use skim milk, you can use organic milk, you can use whole milk. I tend to use UHT milk because I think it gives a creamier taste to the yogurt, and you can add cream or not as you see fit. So it's really versatile, and you can just change it according to your sort of dietary preferences as well. How much vanilla paste? Well, it's a question I've had. I'm not very precise. I just gave it a good old squeeze on the bottle, and it was as much as came out of the tube. There you go. That's the technical answer. Right. So Lindsay, who are we going? Yes. Hello.
We use artificial sweetener, not sugar, and it works. Hardly nowhere near as much.
Oh, brilliant! Thanks.
It's not as probably we don't have children, but it's not quite as. But we use that, so it sort of goes more near the swimming world side of things.
Yeah, fantastic. Really good idea. Yeah, well done. Okay, right. Let's go over to Marie next, who's waiting patiently to show us her. No, we're not going to Marie. We're going to Linda for the mango chutney. Sorry about that. Marie was getting excited, ready to go. Over to Linda.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So I don't use any sugar in my yogurt. You can't tell the difference because the vanilla does it anyway. So
you don't have fussy children, Linda. We will see.
I don't know. It's just me, so it doesn't matter. But as I say, that it tastes nice anyway. So mango chutney, what I've actually done, I have already pre-toasted and grind my peppercorns for the sake of time. So I'm just going into the recipe detail here. And so the next thing I need to do is I've got everything pre-prepared. So I'm putting in 2 garlic cloves. So I've got one there and another one in here somewhere. There we go. And then cut into rounds. So I've got that in there. So I put those in. And then it's telling me to put the lid on and on the bowl. And we go. There we go. And go. So that's that done. And it's asking me to scrape down the sides. There's not much actually up the sides anyway, so I'll just do that quickly. Smells absolutely great. I've made this before and I've never eaten mango chutney before, and I'd made it and tried it and absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's great. It gets you trying new things, doesn't it, having a Thermomix? Oh, I think we lost Linda. Her connection's quite bad.
Absolutely. When you know what you're putting into the machine and you like all those ingredients, there's no real reason why you shouldn't like what comes out the other end. So it's now asking me to turn this to speed 5 to chop the onion. 3 seconds done. And then the next stage, which is 20 grams of water and cane sugar, raw cane sugar. And the last time I did it with just brown sugar, but for the sake of the recipe detail, I've done that. So it's now telling me to insert the mixing bowl, which I've already done that, and I've already done the 5 minutes of putting it together. So don't need to do that. So now it's asking me to put in the sugar. Already done. doing. And the reserved ginger onion mixture. I could have put all that in here, really. I should have really looked at the recipe. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put that into there and do it that way. So, okay, so 700 grams of mangoes, which I've prepared. So that will now go in. And 120 grams of vinegar. A teaspoon of salt. There we go. And a half a teaspoon of ground turmeric. So I'll just pop that in, come out. There we go. Just a little bit much. Put that in the top. 100 grams of raisins, which I've already weighed out. And then I've got to put the simmering basket in to prevent any splashing. And then that's going to cook for 45 minutes. So I'll pass back to, there's my sheet. Hang on.
Marie. Yes, Marie's turn. Yes, Marie, we're there.
Cooking.
Yeah, brilliant. Get that on, get that cooking.
I will.
Delicious. Very easy. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Tasty delicious.
Lovely. Right. Okay. Can't hear you, Marie. Not at all. Not really. No.
I don't think they work with Zoom, Marie.
Can you hear me now?
That's
Yes,
better, yeah.
perfect.
Okie doke. So, Linda, just on that last recipe, on the mango chutney, Kerry just asked, how many mangoes did you put in?
It was 4. But they were quite small. They weren't very...
I think Linda's connected. Yeah, now we've lost Linda.
Yeah,
So I picked up mangoes in Asda a couple of days ago, reduced to 36p.
Yeah,
fabulous.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for a cheaper option, there's a gorgeous recipe called peach and mango chutney, which you only put 1 mango in and then use a tin of peaches in there as well, and it's absolutely delicious. And that's on Cookie Dough as well as an alternative. Yeah. So cheaper.
And the other thing I think you could probably use is frozen mango, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So also there was another question earlier on that said, what did your pantry look like? Well, when you're a Thermomix owner, your pantry pretty much looks like this all the time. So we've talked about tikka paste, we've got tandoori, we've got stock paste, we've got curd, we've got tikka paste, we've got jam, we've got clementine marmalade, we've got pesto there. Literally, you need jars is what you need. Another store cupboard staple that we all have and all use is tomato ketchup. I actually generally don't have tomato ketchup because I can't stand it because it doesn't taste of tomato. Until we started making our own, which I had never made before. Now, I'm not going to bore you with going through the process because it's exactly the same process as the barbecue sauce that Sarah has made. Just a change of ingredients, but the tomato sauce has actually got a bit of texture to it, which as a grown-up we quite like, and it tastes of tomato that doesn't just taste of sugar. The reason being is because it contains actually no sugar. So we use a tin of tomatoes, 25 grams of red wine vinegar, a grind of salt and pepper, a little bit of red pepper, a small red onion, dash of paprika, a little bit of garlic, and that's a good tablespoon of honey. That was it, and literally just popped it in, left it in there for I think it was about 28 minutes in total, 10 minutes and then 18 minutes, and then it gives it a blitz at the end for 2 minutes, and that is absolutely delicious on sauce. It's almost, I would say, sort of verging on that burger relish kind of texture, rather than just the sweet tomato sauce, that ketchup that we tend to have. But for me personally, much better. And again, as Lindsay was saying about controlling the sugar content, sugar is normally the second largest ingredient in any store-bought ketchup that you'll get. So it's
Marie, Kerry's asked a question saying, do you store that in the fridge or the cupboard?
Ideally in the fridge. Once it's basically opened, you need to pop it in the fridge. So because it's got no preservatives in there. So now we're going to move on to jam. This again is really quick and easy, and for someone that makes cakes regularly, quite often I'll get myself caught out because I will think that there's jam in the cupboard or fridge, and then there's not. So this has been a bit of a godsend. I think most of us know that it's a bit of a miracle when it comes to a quick jam needed. If you've done scones at a minute's notice or something and you want jam to go on it, this is the one to do. Starts off with a bag of frozen berries, 500 grams of frozen berries, straight into the steam. Takes no time, no effort. One hiding in the bottom. There we go. And as simple as that. And you can swap this up. You can, just because this is a frozen mixed berry recipe, again, you can use it with pretty much any fruit that you can buy frozen. That's not a problem. So you can swap and change this. I've got one here actually. This was blueberry jam that was done with frozen blueberries as well. But they're my hubby's favourite and out of season. So that's just a quick 10-second grind of the frozen berries there. And I'm just going to scrape them off the lid. And then it is asking now for 500 grams of jam sugar. Now, if you haven't got jam sugar, you can't get jam sugar, you can add a little bit of liquid pectin to it. But if not, don't worry, just cook it for longer and you'll still get the same results. You just have to keep cooking it rather than, it'll just take a bit longer to actually come together as jam. But I have got some jam sugar here, so we should be okay today.
I rarely use jam sugar actually. When I make my strawberry jam in the summer, I just use regular sugar. I mean, it does depend on the pectin content of your fruits, but generally I find that with strawberry and the red berries, you're okay because you've got a higher pectin content.
Yeah, that's it. Generally, I think it's the more sort of sour, the more tart something is, the more pectin it's got in it. But I have actually only got 230, there will be 35, there you go, 236 grams of jam sugar. I'm just going to make it up with regular granulated sugar, make it the quantity, it won't make any odds at all. So again, the beauty of the Thermomix is those inbuilt scales, everything into the bowl, no need to dirty up extra bowls, extra measuring jugs, anything like that, straight in.
What is the name of the recipe? This is frozen, is it frozen berry jam? Frozen mixed berry jam?
Berry jam, yeah, that's it. And some lemon juice. And I'm not being posh, and I'm not got my lemons out and squeezing them directly in. I've just used lemon concentrate in this because I don't think you can tell any difference. Right. Insert the lid. And 17 minutes on Varoma, on speed 1. That's it. I'm just going to move it across onto my friend. Get that set up, just so that I can then move on and get just gonna let it get its first minute or so done on the Thermomix itself, because it's a little bit more robust in the Thermomix than on the friend. So 16 minutes on there, up to aroma.
So while you're doing that, Marie, I'll just explain. The Thermomix Friend was brought out about a year or so ago now, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah.
And you can see it's that little machine next to the Thermomix. It was designed as a companion appliance so that when you are in a longer cooking phase, you can move your bowl across onto the Friend, which acts like a docking station, and it will continue heating and stirring for you. Now, there is a limitation to it in that it isn't as powerful. The motor in it isn't as powerful as the motor on the Thermomix. So you find if there are big chunks in your recipe, or if it's a particularly stiff mixture, the Thermomix Friend won't work. So this is why Marie is just letting the jam cook out for a couple of minutes just to soften up the fruit, because obviously the fruit was frozen, so that hopefully we'll be able to transfer it onto the Thermomix Friend and it will continue to cook and stir for you.
Just whilst it's frozen, as soon as the heat got into it, which we can tell now obviously because it's going red on the side and we can see that it's starting to heat up, it's basically, it's soft enough then for the Friend to be able to cope with it. So I'm just waiting for the bowl to heat up on the edge, just tapping it to see. Oh, light's gone off.
There we go. And actually, you know, the Friend, I mean, it's not the ideal for a lot of people, especially, you know, Thermomix owners. Once their first Thermomix arrives, they can really make a case for having a second Thermomix. So that's why we have a lot of owners that become advisors and want to earn a second Thermomix for free. But actually, a great halfway house towards having that second Thermomix is to have one of these companion devices. And I mean, I turned my nose up at it, as all my team will tell you, last year for a long time, because I mean, not everybody's as fortunate as me with having, I did at one point own 5 Thermomix. I'm down to 4 again. It's a bit greedy. I know, I can see Paul laughing there. So I thought, what need do I have for a Friend? But actually, I lent a lot of my Thermomix out over Christmas and ended up with 1. So I had to force myself to use the Friend, and I found it really, really useful over Christmas. Once I'd accepted the fact that it had limitations, it wasn't a second Thermomix, but it became very useful in terms of, in those longer cooking process, just being able to transfer the food across and then replace a second Thermomix bowl in the main Thermomix and continue with doing something else. So yeah, that was useful.
Right, that's moved over there now. So we are just going to cancel down this recipe, and I'm going to take you straight across to doing bechamel. Now, as Lindsay was saying, as a chef, a bechamel is a be-all and end-all sauce, a plain white sauce. You know, it's the starter, it's the base for so many flavour sauces, but you've got to stand with it on the stove. You stir constantly, and you don't want any lumps. And you know, even as a chef, occasionally you take your eye off of it for a second and it lumps, and there seems to be like no rhyme or reason to that. So it's nice to have something whereby you really don't need to have any guesswork involved whatsoever. It is guaranteed foolproof every single time. And I'm actually going to do this now, and I'm going to use it tomorrow night, and I'm going to turn this into a butternut squash bechamel, and that's going to go with a sausage pasta. So I'll post that on my group as well afterwards, because that's my own recipe. So bechamel sauce, the thing I like about this particular recipe, I'll bring it down, don't know if you can see it, actually, no, I don't think you can on my screen. But the thing I like about this recipe is that it tells you how to make it in various quantities. So because it's equal measures, it's nice and easy to break down the recipe depending on what you want. So it tells you how to make it from 500 ml up to 1200 ml. So I'm going to start off just by using the 50 ml, because that's all I need. There's only me and my other half here, so I don't need huge amounts. So simply butter, 50 grams of straight in. Next, we want 50 grams of plain flour. In there. And then on to salt and pepper. And then, oh, I've already done the pepper. And it tells you to add nutmeg if you want. I don't need to today. I'm going to add a little bit in tomorrow when I finish it off. And I've gone past the milk section. Should be 500 grams of milk. Basically, it's 50, 50, 500 or 100, 1000, 1000, for example. So it's nice and easy to get your measurements on there. But if you look and compare, for example, a jarred lasagna sauce, white sauce, dolmio, for example, I think Lindsay worked out there's about 20 ingredients in dolmio white sauce, a jar of. You've just seen, I think there was, what, 5 ingredients there, including salt and pepper. And all we've got to do is turn it onto thicker mode. It's going to sort itself out, and we leave that alone. It's going to take about 12 minutes. It's going to come back. It's going to be completely creamy, lump-free, white sauce, ready to use in your lasagnas, just 4 or 5 ingredients, or use as a base sauce for so many other alternatives. So absolutely guaranteed, lump-free every time, beautiful and smooth.
So you don't need to cook out a roux either, which is unbelievable. Yeah, you just chuck it all in and click start.
You'd be stood at the stove, you'd be cooking out the roux to start off with, making sure you're cooking all that flour taste and texture. Then adding your milk just a little bit at a time, maybe heating your milk up beforehand to start off with, so more milk so that you don't get lumps. All of that faff, and you've got, you know, it's done. It's one bowl.
I can't get over the cost of dolmio either. Like the white sauce is like £3.50 a jar. It's ridiculous, and this costs about 80p to make.
Absolutely, and it's what, it's a quarter of a large bottle of milk there, and 50 grams of plain flour, 50 grams of butter. You're done. Right. I mean, it's pennies. It's pennies in comparison.
So we'll go over to Sarah now, who is going to show us how to do another sauce. It's a very similar thing, actually. Let's replace Sarah and do a custard.
Yeah, we're going to do a custard, and Alfie's here waiting for his dessert. Quite a lot. Okay, so I'm going to make a custard. It says the first step, you can put the zest of a lemon in, but we don't bother with that.
Neither do I.
We'll just put, it says 60 to 100 grams of sugar, but I won't put that much in. I will half that. Don't need all that. Mind you, he's a skinny being. And then it will spin up that sugar 10 seconds. So it's made that granulated sugar. It's what it'll make that granulated sugar. So it's icing sugar. And you can add a bit of corn flour. So easy, the custard, and just a fraction of what it costs in the shops. And like we have it, you know, 2 or 3 times a week because the kids just love it. With what it's got in it, you don't really mind them eating it at all. Okay, so next. So what it's going to their sugar, a little bit of icing sugar, so straight down the sides, but we'll give it a bit of a bash. Then 30 grams of corn flour. There we go.
Again, if you wanted it slightly thinner, I don't put in the full 30 grams. I quite often just use 10. Or sometimes none at all if you want a vanilla sauce.
There we go, that'll do, done 20. And then 2 eggs. the chickens produced earlier. Lovely fresh eggs. It's great, the chickens are allowed out again now. 500 grams of milk. There we go. Just a bit over, but that's okay. Put the lid on. Literally 7 minutes. That's going to cook that for 7 minutes, and then we're going to have custard, and that's it.
Yeah,
Easy.
it's amazing, isn't it? And the kids can do it so easily themselves. Yeah, I know, it's fantastic. Right, I think we're going to go back over to me now. So let's just replace Spotlight, and then if I can Spotlight myself. I don't know if there's 2 views or not. No, I don't know what I've done now. Let's see if I can Spotlight. Host, add Spotlight. There we go. Right, great. Later. Right, can you hear me okay? Yep. Yep. Everybody else is on mute. Okay. Just can somebody say yes if you can hear me? Sarah, can you say yeah? Or Marie, if you're there, can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
fab. Okay, right. So I'm going to very quickly do some lemon curd and some Hollandaise sauce. I'm not going to make butter this evening because I've just seen the time and we are running slightly behind. So all I want to do is show you the vegetable stock paste, there we go, that has been produced. So this is just cooked away for the last 30, 40 minutes or so. And then all I'm going to do with this is no surprise. Let's just make sure I've got the right lid on there. Is I'm just going to blend it. So the instruction comes onto my screen. It's going to blend for a minute at speed 3. I'm not going to do that now, just because I want to make sure that we don't go on too far beyond 9 o'clock. But once you've blended it, you get this beautiful, like, smooth sauce that you can use instead of stock cubes or stock paste, and you know exactly what's in it. Right. So instead of this, I'm going to move that over away and then put a bowl in place and do some lemon curd. Lemon curd is really, really easy. And again, I often do this at demos face to face because people just cannot believe how easy it is to do something like this. Right, let me just go into my week. Here it is, lemon curd. Start. So this particular recipe will take 4 minutes, I believe, from start to finish. So I'm going to quit that recipe. We're going to put in some granulated sugar. 75 grams of granulated sugar. So, sorry guys, I didn't weigh it out in advance. I've just got over a little bit. Then the peelings from a lemon. So when you have a Thermomix, you don't need to bother zesting citrus fruit. You just peel it off, get a peeler that only removes the peel rather than the pith. So I do this with lime as well and orange, and then you can grind the peel into the sugar and you can make this beautiful kind of citrus flavoured sugar, which is fantastic in taste. I'll just give that 20 seconds. Okay, so it's asking me to scrape down the sides. Just make sure that I don't use a spatula that I've been using for vegetable stock paste. Okay, add 2 large eggs. So, is that an egg? What's that doing there? That's dried out slightly because I've had it sitting there without a lid on. So 1 egg. In fact, these are quite small. Let's hope it's not alive. And I'm going to add in another little one because they're quite tiny, these. I buy the mixed weight eggs now rather than large eggs because apparently it's a bit kinder on chickens. So they go in. 50 grams unsalted butter. So one of the great things you can do as a Thermomix owner is make your own butter. It is cheaper to make your own butter. It's very easy. You just put double cream in, whisk it for a minute or 1 to 2 minutes with a butterfly whisk. But I'm not going to do that tonight because we are a little bit short on time. And we've done it many times at demo. So if you're interested in looking at how you do it, if you just go back onto the Thermomix Whiz YouTube channel, which I will email everybody with details about that's registered for this demo, you will find a demo that does show you how to make butter. Okay, now you put in the juice from a lemon. So I just squeezed the lemon out earlier. That goes straight in, minus the pip. And then we're going to put the lid on, turn it to mix it for 10 seconds at speed 6. Scrape down the sides again. There we go, just give it a little scrape. So essentially a lemon curd is basically like a lemon flavoured custard, I suppose, a cooked custard. So it's the eggs that are setting the custard. So a little bit different to something like a bechamel, which is set with the presence of the flour in there. But the great thing with the Thermomix is that because the Thermomix temperature controls the whole cooking process, you do not go above the sort of the required temperature. And this can be a problem if you're making curd by hand. If you don't have a thermometer in a pan and constantly stir, if you take your eye off of it, you'll end up with scrambled egg. That will never happen with the Thermomix because you can see this little magic temperature dial here. It will keep the mixture at 80 degrees. At 82 degrees, you have scrambled egg. So at 80 degrees, you've just got a lovely thickened egg-based custard sauce. So that's really clever. Right, second recipe we're going to do. I'm going to turn round. Christelle's just been kicked out, so she's coming back in. I'm going to turn around to this Thermomix here again. I'm going to just remove the yogurts for the time being, and I'll set them off this evening because I want to use this Thermomix now to make a Hollandaise sauce. Move that out of the way. Right, so I'm just going to press the silver button there to stop it, decant the water out into there, then I'll just use it later again. And then I'm going to go back and find my Hollandaise sauce recipe. So that should be under my week. I've done my job properly. Here it is. Now this says serves 2 to 4. I actually am going to halve this because I'm terrible with Holland. I love it so much. I will actually end up just eating it all myself, and I could really do without eating all of that butter. So you can actually halve this recipe as well. So I'm going to put in about 5 grams, she says. Oh, that was hopelessly overshooting it. Let's try again. About 5 grams of water, that'll do. 7 grams. A little bit of lemon juice to taste. Now, I haven't got my lemon juice with me, so instead of that, just chucked it all in my lemon curd, wouldn't you know? I'm going to use a little bit of white vinegar, so you can get the acidity from the vinegar as well. So I would just put like that in. Next. Now, 150 grams unsalted butter. So here I've got 75 grams unsalted butter. I'm just going to chuck it in like this. 4 egg yolks. So I've got a couple of egg yolks here that you'll be pleased to know I did separate earlier. So there's the egg yolks going in. They have dried out a bit where they've been sitting there. Never mind. And then a little bit of salt. There we go. That bit of salt. And you can put some pepper in, but I'm not going to bother. And then put the lid on. And this is where the magic of this machine really does come into its own. All you have to do, I mean, how easy was this? Our thicken mode is going to come on to, I've got a specific thicken mode for sauces, which you, I think you would have seen with Marie's recipe as well. And then it's going to work out based on how much we've got in there, how long it needs to run the Thermomix for to cook out to 80 degrees. And all I do then is leave it and 10 minutes later I'll have a perfect Hollandaise sauce. I cannot tell you, as a chef, I would have bought this with the Hollandaise sauce alone. How many eggs I've gone through in professional kitchens and at home trying to rescue a Hollandaise is really not funny. I've wasted so much, not just in terms of ingredients, but in terms of my own time as well. So now I feel very smug every time I just chuck everything in there and click cooking, that my sous chef is in the kitchen for me, just taking away the stress of doing a particular process that I always struggled with. It was my nemesis. And now I'm able to produce a perfect Hollandaise sauce every time. And there you go. So you don't even need to be a chef to be able to do that. Everybody with a Thermomix has that same ability to create perfect restaurant quality food with consistent. It's all about that those consistent results with minimal effort, which is what owning a Thermomix is all about. So very quickly, I'm just going to show you. Here is my lemon curd because it's ready. So curd was made obviously in the time it's taken me to make my Hollandaise sauce. There we are. You see that in there? I'll just show you in my map, but I can show you up there. So all I need to do with that is just decant that into a jar once it's cooled down a little bit. So it's absolutely delicious. This is fabulous with your homemade yogurt. So it will give you a beautiful lemony yogurt. I can see Marie standing there with her jar of lemon. Is that a lemon curd, Marie, that jar?
Passion fruit curd.
Oh, passion fruit curd,
yeah.
Yes. So
We
you
don't
could
have
do,
to be restrained.
no, you can do a lime curd, you could do all sorts of delicious, you can do an orange curd, same principle. And then so here we go, this is my tomato ketchup. This recipe is on my Thermomix with customer group somewhere. So I use the Hawksmoor, a chain of steak restaurants. They make the most delicious homemade tomato ketchup, and I've got their book. I went to school actually with the owners, so they very kindly gave me one of their cookbooks a few years ago, and I just make the Hawksmoor recipe, and it is absolutely delicious. It's spicier, it's more like a relish. It's spicy, it's full of like that star anise, beautiful cloves, gorgeous flavors. And it's brilliant. So I occasionally make a huge batch of this and end up filling loads of jars and giving them away as gifts, and it costs me probably about 20p for a jar. There you go. Right, so I think without further ado, we are going to go back to we're going to go over to Sue for the first time, who's going to do us the hummus and some vegan mayonnaise. Right, let's go to Sue. There we go.
Brilliant. Okay. So hummus, I think this is definitely one of the things that sold the Thermomix to me, because when I first started, my son got through 6 to 8 pots of hummus every single week. And I've never been able to make some that actually tasted right, so that he would actually eat it. So I was buying it, but the Thermomix did the trick, and we've been making it ever since. And I'm going to show you how. So if I just start off on this Thermomix here, I've got 2 going today. The first thing that I need to do is to pop in the garlic. So I've got 1 big clove of garlic there. Then we're going to go to the chickpeas, which I've already drained. I've drained the 2 tins of chickpeas because I'm going to use the aquafaba, which is the liquid, in the vegan mayonnaise that's coming up. So just pop those straight in. And then if I click on to next, actually if I pull this over, you can probably see a little bit better what I'm doing. Oh, that's reversed, isn't it? Is that reversed? Is reversed. I don't know how to change that. Hopefully you can kind of figure out what that is doing. So
it's not,
say that again.
it's not reversed.
Oh, is it not? It is on my view. Okay, I won't worry then. I'll just assume that it's okay for you. Thank you. So what we've got next is some lemon juice. So I'm going to weigh this in. I've got ready squeezed lemon juice. So just that to start again. So weighing in 30 grams of lemon juice. There we go, there or thereabouts. Then we need extra virgin olive oil. So again, weighing that in, it's just 70 grams of this. It's a very simple recipe. There are lots of different recipes, by the way. This is the best basic hummus, it's called, if you're looking on Cookie-Do. And I actually modify this slightly and put a bit of olive oil in, as well as the extra virgin olive oil, just because of the strength of the flavour. He actually prefers it that way, so that's what I'm just going to do. Pop a little bit of ordinary olive oil in. Okay, and then we need toasted sesame seeds, which I've already prepared, so they can be popped in there. We need half a teaspoon of salt. So that in. Oops. And then we are going to mix that up. Okay. No, did I do water? Did I do water? I've missed water. I should know this recipe. I do it so many times. I think I skipped a step slightly. Just let me pop that back a second. So anytime if you need to, you can just click the back arrow and pop back a little bit. That would have been far too thick. So I'm just going to add the water in now. Weighing that in. It's always slightly awkward doing it from behind where you can't quite, I can't quite see what I'm doing. There we go. So everything else should be in there: lemon juice, olive oil, salt and sesame seeds. And then it literally is just popping the lid on and blending for 1 minute on speed 9. So I shall set that off, and then we can start on the vegan mayonnaise. So put that on there. Speak at the same time. Okay, so that has done. We'll just let that release, and you should see. I'll bring the camera over here. Actually. Look inside. You can see that's a really lovely texture, which he's very happy with, thankfully. The funny thing is actually that we still, I still pot it up in the hummus pots that you buy. And I did that originally when Lindsay came and did a demo for me, and we made it, and I think I put it in these pots to try and trick him, so that he thought it was just the stuff that I bought in the shop, and actually it worked. So that's a really good selling point for that. But it's become a habit, so I still use those original hummus pots, and he very happily eats those. So we get through now. He probably less about 3 of those pots a week. It works out at 47 pence, I think, for a 200-gram pot. Which are at least £1.20 if you buy them in the shops. So that is a considerable saving that we make overall with that, just on hummus. So that's that. I can pop that up later. What I'm going to do now is to make the vegan mayonnaise. Now, Lindsay has challenged me a little bit here because I'm not a good maker. I've had 1 or 2 not very successful attempts at making hummus, and hummus vegan, any sort of mayonnaise actually. But I did realise today that I've been using oil that, although it's within its date, it had a bit of a smell to it. And I think the last time I tried it, that's why all I could taste was the oil, and it wasn't really edible. But that was not the problem of the Thermomix or the recipe. So, however, I'm trying a brand new recipe today, which is a bit of a risk, but it's an aquafaba mayonnaise for the vegans. And it's actually not one that's on cookie dough, so I'm actually following it off a sheet here, which I can post in my group later, so that anybody who wants to give it a try can. It's a very simple recipe with just 4 ingredients. And what we do to start off with is weigh up the oil and pop that into a jug, which we're going to pour in gradually later on. So I've pre-done that. And then we're going to place the other ingredients into the mixing bowl. So I'm just going to pop it onto scales because I'm using this manually at the moment. And we're starting with the aquafaba, for which we need 85 grams. So literally just pouring that. This is straight out of the tin of chickpeas.
So that is just, that's just the water from a tin of
chickpeas, which would be a waste product otherwise. You know, people would throw that away. So it's a brilliant, you know, free ingredient.
You can actually make meringues with it as well. Yeah. It's quite amazing stuff. It whips up like egg white.
So that is the aquafaba, and then we need a teaspoon of mustard powder, which I'll just pop in here. And the other ingredient is salt. No, salt and lemon juice. So we need both of those, sorry. So grab some lemon juice. We want 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. I'm just pouring that in there. And then 1 level teaspoon of salt. So there we go. So that's those. And then I'm going to insert the butterfly whisk, which is what you use for whisking up meringues or for reheating food. This just slots on top of the blade inside the mixing bowl. So just put that in there. And it's going to mix for 1 minute at a speed of 3.5. So again, because I'm using this manually, I just go back to the screen and show on, hang on, get rid of the scales, onto the home screen. So I have to set this myself, but it's very easy to do. I'm going to go to the time, tap on the time, set it to 1 minute. And then tap on the speed and go to 3.5. Okay. So that is whisking up the aquafaba into a kind of a meringue, slightly meringue texture. And then when that's done, I'm going to drizzle the oil. And this is very clever design, the whole Thermomix. I'm going to pour it into the lid. And between the mixing cup, the measuring cup that goes in the top and into the lid, there's a very fine gap which will allow things to drizzle in. So I don't even have to pour it slowly myself. I can tip it all in there, and it will gradually drip through into the mixing bowl below, so that it goes into gentle rates, and that will do the job. So we'll just wait for that to move. Okay, so if we can release the lid there, I can show you how that is. So you can see how that has come up into a sort of not a totally thickened, but it's into a kind of a meringue sort of process. So the recipe now says to scrape down the bowl and the lid. So just going to make sure that we've got everything. Some of the mustard has sprayed up onto the top, so we just want to make sure that that's all in the bowl and ready to mix in properly. Just do that. And then the next thing is to set the timer for 5 minutes. So I'm just going to put that up to 5 minutes. Again on speed 3.5. So I'll start that off. And then as it's going, I'm just going to pour the oil into the lid, basically, so that it can drip through slowly into the mixing bowl below. And it will gradually blend that together and emulsify it.
Okay. Oh, can you hear me? Yes. So shall we go over while that's happening?
Yeah.
We'll take the pressure off of Sue, and we'll go back over very quickly to Linda, who's just going to do us some basil pesto, which is a lovely recipe. Really quick and easy. And you can do this with all sorts of different ingredients. Sarah's got a lot of wild garlic growing in her garden at the moment, so she's done a wild garlic pesto. You can do spinach pesto, so you can use any other kind of leafy green vegetables, or you can do kale and walnut as well. But this is just a basil pesto, which is fantastic and tastes so much different to what you can buy in a jar.
Right, okay. I allowed my my machine to go off, so just bear with me 2 seconds. Right, here we go. So basil pesto, okay. Put in 80 grams of parmesan. I've actually also kept the rind on, etc. So put that in the machine. Okay.
Yeah, by keeping, so the Thermomix is so powerful, it will chew through the parmesan rinds. So you know, quite often you would have just thrown them out, but obviously when you've got a Thermomix, you can just blend them up with the rest of the cheese.
So I'm going to turn that now over down to speed 10. Absolutely no way I could speak through that because you wouldn't hear me anyway. So it's now telling me to go next and put a garlic clove in, which is optional, but I quite like garlic, so I'm going to put that in. And next is 30 grams of pine nuts, so put the pine nuts in.
And you can, again, I mean, I quite often use cashew nuts instead of pine nuts, and nobody can tell the difference, and it's a lot cheaper to use cashew nuts too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so and then 80 grams of fresh basil leaves. So I've already sourced those, and I do grow my own herbs, but it's a bit early yet for outside, so I did buy those, but they were reasonably priced. And 150 grams of extra virgin olive oil, which is now going in. And here we go next. Fine sea salt, which I've got in there. And the next thing is it's asking me to insert measuring cup. There we go. And 20 seconds, we should have our basil pesto. So here we go. So 20 seconds.
I mean, it's incredible, this recipe. The colour of that pesto when it comes out is just phenomenal. And I have to say, once you've made your pesto like this, you'll never buy it again, because first of all, it's cheaper, but the taste of it is just so much better than the stuff that you can buy in a jar, which actually there's nothing really green about it. It's usually pretty grey and very bland tasting as well. Linda's frozen a little bit. Let's see if she's going to come back to us.
There. Yeah. Very green, looking very nice. And my mango chutney has just finished on the thing on my next one. So it's actually just telling me then to on the mango chutney just to stir it all up and it will be done. Now I did some costings on the mango chutney, and the mango chutney makes 250 grams, £4. The equivalent in weight, £10.42 it would cost you in the shops. And also the pesto costs £3.37, which would cost you £5 and a penny for the equivalent. So that's me done. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, should we go back to Sue? Let's go back to Sue and see what's happened in Sue's kitchen. She looks relieved. Oh, I'm very happy with herself.
Oh dear, yes. It's
Oh dear.
Bit touch and go. No, that's great. Look, so here we have, can you see that? Mayo. Now, I have to say, I made this, I did do a test run whilst you were demoing other stuff earlier because I was a bit concerned about doing it live. And I used rapeseed oil to do my test run. And it came out, I've popped it in the fridge, looking really rather yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the light probably doesn't show it, but it actually looks quite bright yellow. So I've done this one actually with sunflower oil because the recipe says you can use any oil except olive oil. So this is a bit of an experiment for me.
Yeah, and that would be down to the taste actually, because the
so
olive oil would be too strong.
Tried 2 different options, and this is, look, the sunflower one is looking mayo coloured, which is probably helpful in some respects. So what we have to do then is literally just scrape it down. Now you can repeat that process that I've just done and do it for longer if you want to get it thicker, but it looks pretty good. So we just remove the butterfly whisk now, which I can take out, give it a quick scrape down, and then we just do a final mix through of 1 minute at speed 5, and that will finish off the mayo. And yeah, that's looking pretty good actually. So I can do a comparison taste test with the 2 different oils and see how that goes. So I'll just set that off, and then can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can, yeah.
It's all right. I've got a thing on my screen telling me to unmute myself. So I was a bit confused for a minute. So I'm just going to set this off 1 minute on speed 5. There we go. 1 minute on speed 5. So that will do. And then are we going to do the next one now? Are you done?
Yeah, this is just the last.
Yeah, we do the flour.
Yeah, just a very quick demo on rice flour. I think you don't have to do that, and that will be it. That's the last recipe, isn't it?
I can't hear you very much. Nearly done, 30 seconds to go. Luckily, I've got a spare bowl, so I've got a clean one here, where we can get started with the flour, the gluten-free flour. I'll just go to my screen here. Now, I don't know if you can see on here. Well, since that's finished now, hold on. Okay. So that has really kind of mixed it all up very thickly. I'll get that all kind of shown up and test it. I'm just going to that definitely works. I think that'll be a hit with my youngest son, who is the mayo eater. So they'll both be happy today. Okay, so gluten-free flour. There are several recipes on Cookie Do for gluten-free flour mixes. Now, again, I haven't tended to do this. I've used a lot of the different gluten-free recipes for breads and cakes and all that kind of thing. And they often use a combination of different flours to get the right consistency and the right kind of combination of different textures and so on. But I haven't, as a rule, made my own blend that I've kept in the store cupboard. So again, this is a bit of a new thing for me. But the one that I thought that I would try is called the gluten-free all-purpose, multi-purpose flour. So I'm just going to go into that one. And it's literally 4 ingredients, but I quite liked the sound of it to give it a try, and I shall experiment with it. And again, I'll let people know how that comes along. So what we use in this recipe is quinoa. So I've got some quinoa here, which I'm just going to pop in. I'm doing half of the quantity actually, so that the amounts won't add up completely, but I've already set them up in place. So that's quinoa and chia seeds. So again, just going to pop the chia seeds in. And we literally grind those. Now you can grind any grains into flour, I've made rice flour, I've made buckwheat flour, oat flour, any of these things, almond flour. It will mill basically how you like it. But this one is a combination, and it's just 1 minute on speed 9. So this will be noisy. I don't know if you want to mute me and sort of talk about something else while that's going. It'll just
Okay, right. So let me just, if I come back to me, then here we go. Can you mute yourself actually? See, that would be easier.
Yeah.
Right. So brilliant. Okay, so I think I showed you the vegetable stock paste. I don't need to do this. This is the lemon curd, which I've just jarred up. These are fantastic, these little jars. These are mustard jars, actually, from the supermarket. I just love them because they're really small size, so they're great as gifts. So here's my lemon curd gone into jars, which is ready to go in the fridge. This actually is my own mayonnaise. I made it the weekend because I was doing coleslaw with a barbecue. So this is just an egg-based mayonnaise, not a vegan mayonnaise. Again, done in exactly the same way, but just using eggs instead of the aqua faber, the chickpea water. And then in here, I've got my Hollandaise sauce. Can you see that? Look at that in the bottom. And the advantage of doing it in the Thermomix as well is that it keeps it warm. So this will have set up a little bit now because it's been hanging around here. But you can see once you put this into a jar, so I will decant this into yet another jar. As somebody said, when you're a Thermomix owner, you're never short a jar. You're going to need a lot of jars to decant stuff into. But this is absolutely delicious. So you can obviously spoon that straight onto whatever. We're coming into asparagus season now. Delicious with asparagus, fantastic with fish. I just eat it by the spoonful, actually, which is really bad. Sorry, Paul and Ginny. I know you're trying to watch what you eat, but this stuff is amazing. Here we go. That's why I should badly not do Hollandaise sauce, because actually I will if I have it in the fridge. I just keep popping a spoon in, and by the end of the day, there's nothing left. That's why I can't do it in the full quantity. Right, are we back to how's Sue getting on? Let me go. Should we go back to Sue?
Just unmuting there. Okay. So lots of new things for me today. I lift my lid off, sort of wondering quite what I'm going to find. But here we go. So if I can show you that, you can see that's milled into a lovely fine powder. Actually looks like a really good colour. I'm quite interested to know how that will taste when it's used in something. So I will report back on that. But if we carry on to the next step in that recipe, we're going to use arrowroot flour, which I've got here. Let's put that in. And the other ingredient, there's just 4 things in this recipe, and that's arrowroot, and then we've got cornstarch. So I'm going to just pop that in there, and then literally just blend it together, and then you can keep it in a jar, label that up and ready to use. I will say that if it's really important that everything is completely gluten-free, you would need to make sure that those ingredients are also gluten-free. The cornstarch that you buy in the supermarket is not necessarily guaranteed gluten-free, although there shouldn't be gluten in it, but it's not guaranteed. So depending on the level of severity of that, then you might want to purchase specific gluten-free corn flour and arrowroot, which is possible. You can get those online easier than in the supermarket. So popping that back in. It's just literally mixing for 20 seconds now. So if you can bear with this for 20 seconds, that will have the end result. Okay. And there you are. It just tells you to store that in an airtight jar until it's ready to use. So it's an interesting colour. It looks a little bit more on the grey side now, but as I say, it's a combination of different flours, and it's quite nice that it's got the quinoa and the chia seeds in, which is good nutrition. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And it's brilliant, isn't it, to be able to easily mill your own flours, even something like rice flour. It saves you having to have different bags in the cupboard. You can make your rice flour in a minute just from rice grains. You can do your brown rice flour or white rice flour, whatever suits.
Yeah.
So, you do manage to slim down your store cupboard in a sense, being a Thermomix owner, because you do only need to buy like one bag of sugar. From that, you can make your icing sugar and your caster sugar. And then, a bag of rice will give you the rice flour as well. So,
and
there
stores better, doesn't it, as well? It'll store for longer. You can store rice for longer than you can the rice flour, and it's fresher. So, good.
Here we go. So should we go back? Let's go back to, I'll just run around everybody. You can show your finished products. And then very quickly, we're going to finish up. We have run over. This has probably been the longest ever demo, and we were trying to make it the shortest, but we have tried to pack so much into it. So I hope you found it really useful. So let's just go. I'm going to go over to Marie, is looking very like on it like usual. So let's go to Marie to show us her goods.
So obviously we've got the tomato ketchup, which is just this beautiful, beautiful dark red from earlier. Since then, we've got the bechamel sauce. I've just put that into a bowl for tomorrow and put a piece of cling film directly in contact with it so it doesn't form a skin, just the same way as if you were going to put it in an airtight jar. That's going to go into tomorrow's dinner. And then obviously we've got all jarred up my mixed berry jam, and that's actually made 3 small jars. So they're easier to me to keep in the small jars because we won't use it all a massive amount all in one go. So it will keep longer, obviously, in a sealed jar. So I'd rather do it in 3 small ones than 1 large one.
Brilliant. Right, let's go over to Sarah.
Yeah, wow, very successful. Ticker paste. It's great, half the recipe, perfect size. That's half, the whole one is. I've had a little dip, delicious. And the barbecue sauce, you have to make this. Oh my God, just superb. I've done that whole one, and actually I've still got a bit left. So I'm using the lid as a funnel, so I don't make a mess as I usually do.
I'm glad you showed that one. Because as I was doing my lemon curd into the jars using the lid, I thought I really should have shown this. But yeah, that's really handy.
Brilliant. It fits perfectly over these from my mom jars. Perfect. Yeah, very happy. And son's fed with his custard.
Right, fabulous. Right, let's go to Linda. Have you got anything to show us, Linda?
I certainly have. Yeah. Okay. So this is pesto, the basil pesto. Yeah.
Internet connection bad.
Really. Yeah. So yeah, those 2 jobs done.
Fantastic. Right. So I hope you've all enjoyed that this evening. I do apologise that we have run over quite substantially, but actually I think it was probably worth it to see the ground that we've covered. And yes, so if we've got, in fact, most people are still with us, which is fantastic. So thank you ever so much for spending the evening with us. We hope you found it really worthwhile. We hope we've encouraged a couple of you that aren't owners to take the plunge and join our community. Thermomix is an appliance that is like nothing else. It really is. We are all so passionate about what these machines can do because they really are life-changing. The other benefit when you have a Thermomix is obviously you get invited to sessions like this as an owner, which are free of charge, and you get the support of an advisor. So it is really, really important that you buy from an advisor. In fact, at the moment, you can't even buy online. So you have to buy through an advisor. If you don't buy through an advisor, you don't get offered the monthly promotion, which at the moment is interest-free. We've also got 12 months free cookie dough as well up until the end of the month, and then our offer will change for May, but as of this point we don't know what that is yet. They keep us in the dark, so it's a big surprise. But there were 3 ways to become an owner. You can either earn one for free by joining us as an advisor. You can buy outright for 1149, or you can spread the cost over 1, 2 or 3 years. So on a 1-year plan, it's just under £100 a month. On a 2-year, about £56 a month, and on a 3-year, £36 a month. And hopefully we've just shown you some of the ways tonight that you can offset that cost by easily, very quickly, although it doesn't feel quick, but we've just done so much this evening that you can easily offset the cost of owning your Thermomix. And this is just a small snapshot of what it can do once you start making all your meals. You might want to do some bread. Bread is fantastic. It's also a great money saver. It's really good fun. Very, very easy, great to get the kids involved in as well. And I mean, who thought that Cutty a couple of years ago would be whizzing up her own bread rolls to serve on a pretty much a weekly basis. And again, exactly what's in it. It tastes great, it's good fun to make, and you get a real sense of achievement. And I think that just sums up really what owning a Thermomix is all about. So just to finish off with, I just wanted to share, because I did it, I'm going to share it now with you. These are some of the savings that you can make. So I'll just leave that up just for a couple of minutes for people to have a look through. These are some of the things we've done this evening. In fact, we haven't done the Nutella and the nut butter. Never mind, I missed that off, but we don't have time for it now. But again, it's very, very easy to make your own nut butters, Nutellas and Thermomix, and some of the savings that you can achieve as a result of doing that. The other one, which we often do at demos, is if you are if you have to use dairy alternatives such as almond milk or oat milk, or even things like cashew nut milk, are really, really easy, and rice milk to make yourself in a Thermomix, and an awful lot cheaper than buying it as well. So if anybody wants a copy of this, I can provide you a copy of that, so that you can keep track of how much you're saving. But yeah, for those of you out there that haven't quite taken the step, nobody ever regrets buying a Thermomix, and it will pay for itself and more within a year. Okay, right. I hope you found that useful. So if you want to just pop a little comment in the chat, or Paul and Ginny have said, yes, great, or no, we'd have rather be watching something on telly this evening. Yeah, it's always nice to hear whether you found these sessions useful. And as advisors, obviously we don't get paid for this, we give up our time for it, so it's really important that you continue sort of sharing your passion for Thermomix with your friends, and sort of inviting them to come and find out what it is all about through demos and sessions like this. So thank you, everybody. And hopefully, just one last thing, I'm running a pasta masterclass next week, actually. I've got I'll send you the details in the follow-up email that I send through to everybody. My masterclasses, I just make a small charge, because obviously there's quite a lot of preparation that goes into them. But I know we've got people here that have joined my masterclasses in the past and found them really beneficial. So if you want to come along and find out how to make homemade pasta, then please join me next Wednesday evening. I'm doing it on Zoom. It's a cost of £10, and you will never buy a packet of pasta again. There we go. Okay, thank you. Some good tips. Thank you, great ideas. Oh, yay. Thank you, Paul and Ginny. Really interesting. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. Great. And I'm glad you enjoyed it, Kerry. Thank you for joining us. Okay, right. Let me stop recording. There we are.